In the world of cars, especially luxury and hypercars, rumors and debates can spread very fast, but few stories have created as much discussion as the one involving Mat Armstrong, Bugatti, and Porsche. The main question that has divided fans, car experts, and online communities is simple but very controversial. Did Mat Armstrong's viral Bugatti-related videos actually influence Porsche's decision to step away from its financial stake in Bugatti's joint venture, or is this just a coincidence being blown out of proportion by the internet? At the center of this debate is the idea of the Armstrong effect, a phrase used by some fans to describe how Mat Armstrong's detailed rebuilds and exposure-style content may have affected public perception of Bugatti's engineering and exclusivity. On one side, supporters believe his content exposed hidden truths about part sharing within Volkswagen Group vehicles, such as the use of components similar to Audi or Volkswagen models in extremely expensive hypercars. On the other side, critics argue that this is nothing more than internet exaggeration, and that Porsche's decision is strictly tied to financial performance, including reported drops in profit and internal restructuring strategies. What makes this story so powerful is not just the technical details, but the timing. Mat Armstrong, a well-known automotive YouTuber, became extremely popular for rebuilding crashed supercars, including a Bugatti Chiron. His videos reached millions of viewers and sparked discussions about how these cars are built and repaired. At the same time, major business changes were happening behind the scenes in the automotive industry. This overlap created a perfect environment for speculation. People began connecting dots that may or may not actually be connected. This article explores both sides of the debate, the timeline of events, and why this story became such a viral topic in the first place. To understand this debate properly, it is important to first understand who Mat Armstrong is and why his content matters so much in the car world. Mat Armstrong is a popular automotive YouTuber known for buying crashed or damaged performance cars and rebuilding them step by step. His content is not just about fixing cars. It is about showing the entire process in detail, from broken engines and damaged frames to fully restored supercars that look brand new again. What makes his videos special is the transparency and simplicity. He explains complex mechanical work in a way that normal viewers can understand easily. Over time, this approach helped him build a massive audience, including car enthusiasts and casual viewers who enjoy transformation stories. One of the most talked about projects in his career was his work on a Bugatti Chiron, one of the most expensive and powerful cars in the world. During this rebuild, viewers saw parts of the car being disassembled and analyzed in detail, which led to discussions about how hypercars are built using shared platforms and components within large automotive groups like Volkswagen. This is where controversy began. Some viewers interpreted his findings as exposing the reality behind luxury branding, suggesting that even multi-million-dollar cars might rely on shared or mass-produced parts. While this is not unusual in the automotive industry, the emotional reaction from viewers was strong because of the price difference between these parts and the cars themselves. As the video went viral, online discussions grew rapidly, and people started forming theories about how such exposure might affect brand perception. This is where the idea of influence began, not from official statements, but from audience interpretation. Mat Armstrong did not claim to impact Bugatti or Porsche directly, but the internet began building a narrative around his content that connected him to larger corporate decisions. This transformation from content creator to supposed market influencer is what makes this story so unusual and controversial. To understand why this debate even exists, it is necessary to look at how Bugatti is connected to Porsche and the larger Volkswagen Group. Bugatti, known for building some of the most expensive hypercars in the world, operates under a complex ownership and partnership structure. Historically, Bugatti has been part of the Volkswagen Group, a massive automotive conglomerate that owns multiple brands including Porsche, Audi, and others. Within this structure, engineering resources, platforms, and certain components are often shared between brands to reduce costs and improve efficiency. This means that even extremely expensive cars can include parts that are based on or related to components used in more common vehicles. For example, some electronic systems, sensors, or safety components may come from shared group technology. This is not unique to Volkswagen Group. It is a common practice across the automotive industry. However, when these details are shown in viral videos, they can create a different emotional reaction among viewers. In the case of Mat Armstrong's Bugatti rebuild, Some viewers were surprised to learn about parts that seemed less exclusive than expected for a hypercar costing millions. This led to online discussions questioning whether brand value is influenced more by engineering excellence or marketing perception. At the same time, Porsche has been involved in strategic financial decisions regarding its investments in Bugatti's joint ventures. Reports and market discussions suggested that Porsche was reviewing its long-term role in non-core investments while focusing more on profitability and internal restructuring. This business context is extremely important because it shows that decisions involving billions of dollars are usually driven by financial performance, long-term strategy, and market conditions rather than social media content. Still, because Mat Armstrong's videos were trending at the same time, some people began linking the two events together. This is how a simple engineering discussion evolved into a much larger internet debate about influence, perception, and corporate decision-making. The timeline of events is one of the most important parts of this entire story because it helps separate fact from speculation. According to available information, discussions and negotiations around Porsche's involvement in Bugatti-related ventures were already taking place before Mat Armstrong's Bugatti content reached peak virality. Around late 2025, there were reports of financial restructuring and strategic review within major automotive companies, including Porsche. These discussions were mainly focused on profitability, investment priorities, and long-term business direction. At the same time, Mat Armstrong's Bugatti Chiron rebuild began gaining massive attention online. His videos showcased the detailed process of repairing and analyzing a damaged hypercar, which attracted millions of viewers. As these videos spread across social media platforms, conversations about Bugatti's engineering and part sourcing also increased. However, what is important in the timeline is that corporate decisions and negotiations were already in motion before the viral content reached its peak. By early 2026, discussions about ownership changes, investment shifts, and potential buyouts became more public. Some investment groups and partners showed interest in acquiring or restructuring stakes in high-value automotive ventures. Eventually, changes in ownership structure took place, involving different investment groups and capital partners. This is where the controversy intensified online. Supporters of the Armstrong effect theory pointed to the overlap in timing and suggested that viral exposure may have influenced market perception, even if indirectly. Critics argued that the timeline clearly shows corporate decisions were driven by financial conditions and strategic planning long before viral content had any potential impact. The key point in this timeline is that correlation does not automatically mean causation. Just because two events happen close together does not mean one caused the other. However, the timing was close enough to create confusion and fuel debate. This is why the story continues to spread online. It sits in a gray area between documented business decisions and viral internet culture. One side of the debate strongly believes that Mat Armstrong's content had some level of influence, even if it was indirect. Their argument is not that a YouTuber single-handedly caused a multi-billion-dollar company to make a decision, but rather that viral content can affect public perception, and public perception can influence market value. In this view, when millions of people watch videos that reveal engineering details or discuss part sharing in luxury vehicles, it can slightly change how they see the brand. Over time, this shift in perception might affect demand, brand exclusivity, or investor confidence. Supporters of this theory point out that modern businesses are highly sensitive to public image, especially luxury brands where perception is a key part of value. If a brand is seen as less exclusive or less unique, even slightly, it can affect long-term positioning. They argue that Mat Armstrong's viral reach made him part of a larger conversation about automotive transparency, and that this conversation may have added pressure to existing business decisions. However, even those who support this idea usually agree that he was not the main cause. Instead, they suggest he was part of a larger environment of discussion that happened at the same time as financial restructuring. On the other side, critics strongly reject this interpretation. They argue that global automotive companies like Porsche operate on billions of dollars in revenue and are influenced by financial data, market performance, and strategic planning, not YouTube videos. From their perspective, linking a content creator to corporate financial decisions is an example of internet exaggeration. They point to documented financial challenges, including profit fluctuations and restructuring efforts, as the real reason behind any major business changes. In this view, the idea of influence is overstated and ignores how large corporations actually function. The truth likely sits somewhere in between, but most professionals agree that direct influence from viral content on high-level corporate decisions is extremely unlikely. The reason this entire topic went viral is not just because of cars, but because of storytelling psychology. People are naturally attracted to stories that involve hidden truths, controversy, and powerful institutions. When a popular YouTuber like Mat Armstrong appears connected to billion-dollar companies like Porsche and Bugatti, it creates a narrative that feels exciting and mysterious. Social media platforms amplify this effect because content spreads quickly when it triggers emotional reactions, such as surprise, shock, or debate. The phrase Armstrong effect itself is powerful because it suggests a single person influencing a massive system, which is a classic storytelling idea. Even if the reality is more complex and less dramatic, simplified versions of the story spread faster online. Another reason this story became popular is because of timing. When business changes viral videos and fan discussions happen at the same time, people naturally try to connect them into one storyline. This is how internet theories form. Most viewers are not looking at detailed financial reports or official corporate statements. Instead, they are seeing clips, comments, and short summaries that create a fragmented picture. When these fragments are combined, they can form a narrative that feels convincing even if it is not fully accurate. This is why the debate continues even today. It is not just about facts. It is about how people interpret events through the lens of social media storytelling. In the end, this story is less about whether Mat Armstrong influenced Porsche and more about how modern internet culture builds narratives around real-world events. After looking at all sides of the debate, the most reasonable conclusion is that this story is not about one person causing a major corporate decision, but about overlapping events that created the illusion of connection. Corporate decisions at the level of Porsche and Bugatti are based on financial performance, long-term strategy, and global market conditions. These decisions are planned over months or years and involve multiple stakeholders. At the same time, Mat Armstrong's videos did play a role in shaping online discussions about automotive engineering and brand perception. However, there is no strong evidence that this content directly influenced billion-dollar negotiations or ownership changes. What is more realistic is that both things happen independently, but were interpreted together by online audiences. This creates what people now call the Armstrong effect, not as a proven financial force, but as a cultural idea about how viral content can shape conversations around major industries. In simple terms, Mat Armstrong did not change corporate decisions, but his content became part of the same timeline that people use to explain them. That is why this debate exists and why it continues to spread. It reflects a larger truth about the modern internet. When information, speculation, and entertainment mix together, it becomes difficult to separate influence from coincidence. One of the most important things to understand about this entire debate is how modern internet culture works. Today, people do not just consume information. They remix it, connect it, and turn it into stories. When something interesting happens in the real world, especially in industries like cars, technology, or finance, it does not stay as a single event for long. It quickly becomes part of online discussions, short clips, comment threads, and reaction videos. In that process, small details often get amplified and unrelated events can start to feel connected. This is exactly what happened in the Mat Armstrong and Bugatti Porsche discussion. A viral video showing car parts and repairs became part of a much larger conversation about billion-dollar companies. At the same time, financial news about Porsche and investment changes in Bugatti-related ventures were circulating. When these two separate information streams reached audiences at the same time, many viewers naturally tried to connect them. The human brain likes patterns, even when those patterns are not real. So when people saw Mat Armstrong's videos about Bugatti engineering, and also saw headlines about Porsche restructuring or selling stakes, it felt like a cause and effect relationship. Social media then reinforced this idea by repeating simplified versions of the story. Posts and comments began saying things like, "This YouTuber exposed Bugatti," or "This caused Porsche to react," even though these claims were not supported by official evidence. Over time, repetition makes ideas feel more believable, even if they started as speculation. This is how internet myths form. They are not always lies, but they are often oversimplified versions of complex situations. In reality, large corporations do not make decisions based on viral videos. But online audiences are not always thinking in corporate terms. They are thinking in stories. And in storytelling, having a clear cause makes everything easier to understand. So instead of accepting that multiple complex factors were involved in Porsche's decisions, many people preferred a simpler narrative. One YouTuber exposed something and the industry reacted. This is emotionally satisfying, even if it is not accurate. That is why this debate spread so widely and continues to exist. To fully understand why this topic became so sensitive, we also need to look at how luxury car brands like Bugatti operate. Unlike normal cars, hypercars are not just machines. They are symbols of status, engineering excellence, and exclusivity. When someone buys a car that costs millions of dollars, they are not just paying for performance. They are also paying for brand image and the feeling of owning something rare and special. This is why perception matters so much in the luxury automotive world. Even small changes in how people view a brand can have long-term effects. For example, if customers start believing that a hypercar shares too many parts with more common vehicles, it may slightly reduce the sense of exclusivity, even if the performance remains unmatched. This does not mean the car becomes worse, but it can affect emotional value. This is where Mat Armstrong's content became part of the discussion. His videos showed detailed breakdowns of expensive cars, including components that are also found in other Volkswagen Group vehicles. While this is normal in the automotive industry, it created surprise among some viewers who expected every part of a hypercar to be completely unique. That surprise turned into conversation, and conversation turned into debate. However, it is important to understand that luxury brands are already aware of these realities.